Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is potentially one of the last adjournment debates ever to take place in this current Assembly. I would thank the Business Committee and yourself for agreeing for this to be debated this evening. In Bangor, we have 3 loading bays, 1 in Bridge Street and 2 in Main Street. These loading bays were created out of the design of the Public Realms Works in Bangor. This project was delivered by the Council in conjunction with the then Department for Social Development. Department of Infrastructure, as custodian of the public highways, provided the necessary legislation to allow enforcement of the waiting and parking restrictions on the new streetscape, which in truth only came into force in October of this year, and not according to the Assembly question, which claims that the 180 people that have been fined so far over the last 12-month period for parking in these 3 loading bays, because it hasn't been enforced for 12 months. The truth of the matter is they have been only operational for over 4 months period, so the Department needs to tell the facts and not distorted facts, trying to cover up for the mess that they have created by these 3 loading bays and the amount of parking tickets they have created. The loading bays outside Manaris and Bangor were never wanted. In fact, I held a meeting with Council and Transport NI last year with local businesses who were complaining about the waiting restriction times of an hour which were needed to be back in place, as this was affecting local business, and had objected to the loading bays, but they were held to ransom by Transport NI because of their objections to the loading bays, and were forced to withdraw their complaints to the loading bays to get the hour-long waiting restrictions back in place, and that was very unfortunate. Since these loading bays have now come into force, 4 things have happened. There's been a loss of another 7 car parking spaces for on-street parking, which is already added to the loss of the car parking spaces that were taken out through the design of the Public Realms work. This has resulted in loss of trade to the already struggling traders in Bridge Street and Main Street. It has also led to mass confusion to shoppers and drivers who don't understand why they cannot park in these parking areas. There is also the poor signage, leading to further confusion. There are also the redcoats who are queuing up with great zeal, ready to pounce on poor unsuspecting shoppers parking in these loading bays where they have always parked and always shopped. In Bridge Street, all parking has been taken away because of the loading bays and the Public Realms work. All the businesses are struggling, and one business in particular is now in the process of considering closing down altogether because of the loading bay. And it's very unfortunate that the Minister could not be bothered to be in his place today to listen to these serious concerns. So far, £16,000 have been issued in fines, a nice little earner for the Minister's department. One wonders, is this the reason why these bays were put in place? Because let's look at the facts. Even when these loading bays are empty, lorries and vans are still not using them and are still double parking to leave their parcels. I have pictures to prove it, and I have witnessed this on many occasions. These bays do not even make sense because there are loading bays behind the vast majority of shops and properties in Main Street and Bridge Street. If the Minister was here, I would be saying, Minister, this is damaging businesses in Bangor, and to prove it, at a committee meeting held in Belfast City Hall for the the Committee for Infrastructure, I asked the Belfast Chamber of Trade representative, Mr. McElroy, and I said to him, you raised the issue of loading bays, which is a big bugbear of mine in Bangor. It is causing huge confusion for people who want to park in them, and you find that experiences here. Do you agree that it's affecting trade? I do not know by how much, but it is certainly affecting trade, and people are not being able to park in the city centre. Mr. McElroy said, I agree wholeheartedly on all your points as a resident of Bangor and as someone who carries out business in Belfast. Our offices are on Great Victoria Street, and we are now down to having 2 freely available car parking spaces outside a 10-storey building that houses in the region of 250 people carrying out their businesses, and that is for visitors and clients. That is largely because of the loading bays. To concentrate specifically on loading bays, the issue is not only the loading bays themselves and a number of them, but the times in which they are enforced. They are frequently enforced at times when there is no loading in these stores. If the Minister was here, I would say I would hope for once that the Minister would listen, because businesses from Main Street and Bridge Street have come together to sign a petition to remove those loading bays. I also understand that the Council are now deeply concerned at the impact of these loading bays, and the issue is being raised at Council. In an Assembly question, the Minister recently said that there was arrangements that there was going to be a settling-in period, and his officials would review all aspects of the Council scheme over the next few months. I was going to ask the Minister today, would he suspend the loading bay fines from today, and for the loading bays to be reviewed immediately, and for a review to be undertaken with local businesses and the Council as a matter of urgency for those loading bays to be removed before it is too late for businesses in Bridge Street. I have here tonight the petition that I was going to give to the Minister afterwards, but obviously the Minister for Infrastructure does not care less about the parking problems in Bangor. He obviously does not care about the businesses that are being affected in Bangor, and he obviously does not care about the people of North Down. I have asked the Minister repeatedly to come to visit North Down to discuss these issues, and he has refused. So tonight, in what is probably a very important debate, unfortunately, we don't have a Minister here who cares less and wants to try and resolve these differences with us by working with us together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.